traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Amun! Peace, brothers and sisters. This is part two. Part two. Stop getting caught up in the nonsense. Sure, I'm in Rob. Our brothers and sisters, no matter what level of philosophy, theology, of using common sense, somehow is making a wave of following nonsense. It doesn't matter their pay grade, how much money they making, somehow they're following nonsense and not understanding what's truly being represented in front of their face. And what's important, it seems to me that black people don't want to represent or get involved. They don't want to go to no events. They don't want to go to no events to learn anything new. But you have certain people who want to be in the background talking a whole lot of nonsense, talking about I'm going to debunk what someone else created or did some research on their own, or started to re-educate their mind from the system of things, but they're going to try to rebuke it. It doesn't matter what institution that person comes from, male or female, but once we see a celebrity, if you will, or celebrities, and God we trust. In God we trust. Y'all should know what that means by now. I've been saying it for the last day or two. In God we trust. But the problem is, you got to separate yourself from those who's really into God we trust. And you don't know how to separate yourself. You believe they're speaking for you. Some celebrities goes, oh, this person is making themselves a mockery. Really? Well, when you indulge yourself into an industry that never had nothing to do with you from the beginning, but you got yourself in the industry of dealing with entertainment, well, guess what? You are part of that because you are part of In God we trust.
I quit.
In God
I quit.
we trust. Huh? No? No? In God we trust. You an entertainer, you an athlete,
You're traveling to
a musician,
a dimension not only of
and you
sound but of mind.
are
A
getting
journey to a
paid
wondrous land whose boundaries are that of
for
imagination.
your services.
Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
In God we trust. In God we trust. In God you trust. You trust. Brothers and sisters, gods and goddesses, kings and queens, however you want to be called. This is part 2. And I want to explain something to you. Why I'm saying God we trust. Because you have it every day in your pocket. You need to understand the way the world truly is operating. You're not understanding. It's about resources. It's about resources and money. Number one commodity is human cargo. Number one commodity, human cargo, black body parts, organs. Our organs are high commodity. That's just one bracket. Because maybe some of you don't know, there's human traffic going on. There's organ trafficking going on. Somebody with money, which is on top of that money, says, God, we trust. In God, we trust. Right? Money gets you to buy what you want. But the way things is being operated is in your face, but is an illusion. And they're making it that way. Instead of listening to what the person is saying, ask yourself what's going behind closed doors. And then black people love to sit there and go against each other and rebuke each other on certain nonsense that don't matter. You deliberately will sit there and get on and express your feelings and sit there and talk about, oh, this person's going crazy. But never address the true issue. See, people always think that other people is crazy when they talk beyond their comprehension. And that's the problem with our people. Because our people are pay attention.
You're traveling to another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Lost. You know, I don't. First of all, no conscious black man or woman should be indulging in none of the celebrities' nonsense, because they are in God we trust. That is their bracket. They're not in your bracket. Let me keep it simple. How many celebrities came back into the neighborhood and formed institutions that will help the community and keep the children out of the streets? Tell me where there's a gym where they can go to. There is an institution where they can go read books without somebody trying to tell them otherwise. What games are we playing? Tell me where the celebrities are helping you. They're coming back to the neighborhoods where they were from, build institutions, take their church bullcrap, get rid of it, because church is not helping the black community. I don't care what you say. You can say, well, they feeding them. They feeding them. Okay, you can feed all you want. But if the mind ain't being fed properly, your body will get obese. And your mind will turn to jelly. The church is only replicating what they already have learned through the Greek philosophy and the Greek theology. They're not talking about African theology. They're not talking about African philosophy. They're not talking about African spirituality. No, they're telling you nothing but Greek philosophy. Tell me how that's supposed to help our people. The church ain't telling you about the dines and wines of the evil. It's not telling you about the dines and wines about our community and the horrors. What the church tell you? Behave. Follow the narrow path. Follow Jesus. But how can you follow Jesus when majority of you don't even know who Jesus is? Majority of you just believe in a concept which your mother told you, your father told you, your grandmother told you, your great-grandfather told you, your great-grandmother told you, and generations of generation. Stop the boat. Stop. One of those generations decide to take the descendants' legacy and get rid of it so they can do what? Survive in the land they living in. So they came up with a concept and tried to make it an all-black church, but that don't work like that. You still are discarding your heritage. Now, some churches throughout the United States of America, throughout the world, dealing with the melanin race, what they have done.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
What you don't understand is that you have a few churches and institutions that is teaching the black man and the black woman about their heritage. But what you don't want to do is go online, and you will find many different institutions that will teach you about who you are. You will get some kind of concept of who you are. That will give you the catapult what you need to begin on your research, your renewing of yourself. Is doing your research to reconstruct your mind from the whitewash system of things. Not only just the whitewash system of things, but also the cool Negroes who is also backing up the play of the whitewash system of things. These new breed of cool Negroes are the ones now that step in place, have now got that new thing is called "In God We Trust." In God we trust. But when you get one of these celebrities, entertainers, decide to do research and reconstruct their mind and pull away from the nonsense, then people will start to talk to them. We know you understand what's going on. What can we do? Because the masses of people need you black people to stay ignorant. They set up plans, they set up institutions to help you in your ignorancy. Even some of your jobs that you go to helps you be ignorant. Some of your jobs are dealing with some most dangerous chemicals that you inhale every day, and some Negroes will sit there allow you to deal with that and let your mind, your body be destroyed. But you don't want to talk about this. You want to talk about what a celebrity stated. You want to talk about the president and what he's doing. Now let me break something off on you real quick. All you Negroes who's sitting up there saying, look at Kanye West and how he's acting. He's a cool Negro. Am I correct? But why would a cool Negro mention Larry Hoover? Just explain this to me, since you all think that you know what's going on. Let's stop the boat. Let's stop the bus. Let's stop the train. You forgot to ask this question. What does the KK, Klansmen, what does the skinheads and any other radical white supremacist group think about Donald Trump sitting next to Kanye West and Jim Brown and all those other different black people, and he's sitting there on national TV saying, you know what, Jim Brown, I always admired you. Always have and always will. Then sitting up there talking about, oh, Kanye, I really like you. Now, have you ever thought about on your mind what the Klansmen and all them rednecks thinking about? Did that come across your mind? Let me help you out. Let me help you. Pay attention. Pay attention.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Wake the fuck up! Wake up! You following all this madness, all this devastating Celebrities talking about they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Some of them all of a sudden got hit to the consciousness, doing a little research on ancient history and started to find out different symbols come from people who look just like them, a reflection of them. So now they decide they want to flip the game. They got enough of God we trust. They got enough of God we trust, and they're using it. But everybody ain't gonna make it. Everybody ain't gonna be able to deal with it. Some people like being in the suspension of animation. Some people like being like that. Some people like being on drugs. Some people like being drunks. Some people like doing it. Some people love their religion. Some people love listening to the preacher speaking because they get there and get some electrical magnesium feeling. Some people like that. We can't get mad at that. Huh? Talk to me. Talk to me. What you getting mad about? I got something for you. I want you to watch this video. It's by one of the great older elders, Neely Fuller. He does radio commentary, but it's also mixed in animated cartoon, which I thought it was a great idea. Simple fact, because we have a lot of young people watch different programs, but with the animating series that is being used, it also helps you, I state this in my opinion, to pay attention more. Let me get into it. Stop chasing the nonsense. It's a trap. Stop chasing the nonsense. It's a trap. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Just by knowing who's behind it and why. And then just don't do it if you can possibly get away from it. But the white supremacists, they have decided that in the refinement stage of white supremacy, that more and more dark-skinned people throughout the world are beginning to become, after many, many, many millenniums, you might say, in a way of speaking, of just being kind of lethargic and out of it, you might say, and primitive, pitiful people, just world beggars, really. And some black people, some dark-skinned people, some people who are classified as non-white throughout the world started in the 1960s to kind of stir and say, enough already. Maybe we should become a different people. Maybe we should not be so primitive. Maybe we should be problem solvers, because we usually know how to make a lot of problems. We don't know how to solve the problems that we make, or solve the problems that other people make for us. So in the 1960s, people began to stir all over the world, non-white people, and began to use their brains rather than just use emotion to try to solve problems. Because black people, particularly, have been taught, well, use your emotions. If you run into a problem, just start screaming and yelling. And hope that it will all work out. If you lose your way going down the highway, just close your eyes and step on the gas and hope that it all works out. But don't use your brain. That's for the white supremacists to do. You've been given a brain, but just forget about the brain. Be body people. Don't be brain people. Be body people. Keep your body moving, even if you don't know where you're going. Just run around bumping into things. And if you bump into some black people while you're moving around, then lash out at them on account of they bumped into you and you bumped into them. And just keep doing that, because that's a part of my plan for you forever, because then I can always control you. But then the dark-skinned people start waking up, and they start saying, we got to come up with a sophisticated way to have them participate in going back to sleep. And so we will use chemicals to do that. We no longer want to just run them down, and beat them with clubs and shoot them with guns. That wakes them up. That keeps them alert. That makes them want to do something constructive. That makes their brain works at a certain level. So we don't want their brains to work at all. So what's the best way to do that? Make chemicals appealing. Give it some fancy name. Call it Harlem Sonata. And put it in a pink pill and tell them that's the latest thing and that you're not very intelligent if you don't go out and get some right now. You won't be on the cutting edge of what's happening because black people always want to know what's happening because we're always looking for something new because we're so desperate and for something different to happen from what has happened. So the white supremacist always has something new for us, but it's always destructive. I don't care how it looks on the surface. They don't hand out things. They don't come and knock on your door to give you something unless, without you, if you're really thinking, you should be saying, uh-oh, what are they up to now? They're coming to me. Usually, if they're coming to me, they're giving me something that really is not going to help me do anything constructive. If it's anything constructive, I have to run them down, trying to find them to help me do anything constructive. And when they see me coming, they run from me. But when they come and knock on your door and say, I have something for you people, just for you people, it's just wonderful, and you need to take it. Always jump back. Don't jump forward.
Mm-hmm.
Jump back and take a look at it and say, wait a minute, what is this? And if I buy into it, what's going to be the result? What is this you say you are doing for me? Just like they did in the ancient days when they encountered people that they call redskins or Indians or original people of the Western Hemisphere. They said, here, Chief, I have some water here for you, and it's not like the water you're used to. This is water with fire in it. You do understand fire, don't you, Chief? Don't you like fire? You use fire to do a lot of your chores. So I have some fire in the water. Take a swig. And to let you know that I'm not trying to trick you again, I'm going to take a swig. And that's one thing you really have to watch for. The skilled white supremacists, the refined white supremacists, will always do a little bit and sometimes a lot of what they're trying to get you to do. Whether it's a tattoo, or whether it's a swig of whiskey, or whether it's a new drug that's going to destroy you in the end. But they know how to go about doing it in such a way that you wind up being more devastated than them. Now, any person who's tried to seduce somebody, say, with alcohol, knows the old trick of sitting in the booth, in the bar, and this person that has ill intent is trying to seduce the female. What will he do? He'll say, oh, you don't know about this new type of vodka. Oh, this is wonderful. And you'll feel good. And it won't harm you. And to show you that you should take it, because I'm doing you a favor, I'm letting you drink out of my bottle. I'll pour it into your glass. And I will take some myself. But you know the old trick. He takes a little bit, or he might take a lot. And he'll drink it. Then he'll pay you, give you a little bit or a lot. But then little by little, he's taking less and less. And more, you're getting drunker and drunker. But he stopped getting drunk an hour ago. He's a little bit woozy, but he's still in control. That's the key. Who's in control after it's all over? And it's the same way with the drugs. It's the same way even with educational systems.
Mm-hmm.
The white supremacy will tell you something in a classroom that's absolutely true. But then he'll mix in something that's totally false. Mm. But by then, you are all going for the truth. You have to pick out. You really have to pick it, just like picking out the poison from anything. You have to sort it out. And that really takes a little doing. You have to be alert that the person is really doing that. because they'll give you a little bit of something constructive, and then they'll little by little put in a whole lot that's non-constructive. And the next thing you know, that's how they maintain domination and control of their mistreatment. So that's all you can do at this time, because the white supremacists, and you just have to keep doing it. You have to be persistent, like the ant. You just have to keep saying it, just like we're saying it now. Is this constructive? What's going to be the result of you taking this new poison that's out here now? What's going to be the ultimate result? Are you going to...
What I'm about to tell you, I'm going to read a few sentences and paragraphs from the United Independent Conservatory Code System concept, so you can understand, because too many of you are still caught up in an illusion. Get ready. Pay attention. Wake the fuck up. The United Independent Conservatory Code System concept, a textbook, concept, workbook for thought, speech, and action for victims of racism and white supremacy. Don't get your feelings hurt right now. I told you to get the book. B. Big business. Big business. White supremacy. Racism. Big government. White supremacy. Racism. See, the words you use, basically in this book, is going to describe about different hidden agendas. So when you heard me say big business, is white supremacy on your mind? When you hear me say big government, is white supremacy on your mind? Dealing with racism, power, constructing power over who? The lower class. Power over especially melanin people. Get ready. Bisexual and or transsexual, a non-existent sex. Explain. 1. A person is either male or female. 2. Any person who is neither male nor female is non-sexual. 3. Any male person who attempts to be a female person, or any female person who attempts to be a male person, is engaged into anti-sexual and or counter-sexual behavior. Number 4, any person who attempts to be both male and female, either alternatively or simultaneously, is engaging in anti-sexual and or counter-sexual behavior. Such person functions directly or indirectly in such manner as they promote the destruction of sex, male-female relations. Black family, a non-existent family. C, family and or white family. Black fascism, the subjection of all white people by black people and or by non-white people for the basic purpose to debasing white people and glorifying non-white people. A non-existent form of fascism. Black non-white leader. Any black and or non-white person who caused the total elimination of the practice of white supremacy, racism in all places, in all areas of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Black man and or black woman. Any black and non-white male or female person who is not subject to white supremacy, racism, and who does not in any manner, directly or indirectly, do or say anything that helps to support white supremacy in any area of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, or war. Explanation. Explanation. No blacks and or no white, non-whites person can be correctly called a man or a woman and at the same time be subject to white supremacy, racism. The reason is that no black and or no non-white person can function as a man or as a woman and at the same time submit to cooperate with the white supremacy racism in any manner, directly or indirectly. That a person at the time can only function as a male or female child, subject and or victim. Therefore, under white supremacy, it is correct to refer to each black or non-white person as a male or a female, and or as a victim, not as a man, not as a woman. Black people. Generally, any people classified by white people as being non-white and or as being the darker of those people generally regarding as non-white. The non-white classification generally includes persons classified as brown, red or yellow, etc., and or any black shades of yellow, etc., or any black shades of black and or shades of black. Black person, any person classified as and or who generally function as a black, brown, red, yellow, and or non-white person. Black person, a person who physically structure is composed of elements which produce significance and pronounced skin color that is other than white and generally appearance. So now, who is in the twilight zone? You Negroes. Because you don't know this. You don't know this because you don't read. You don't know this because you don't get these books that I told you. It's not about following me. No, I told you that. I told you that you need to re-educate yourself and make yourself become a new creation. And for those who know your Bible, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 17, it tells you that. Now, I strongly believe that you don't need to throw your Bible away. My opinion. Church can be a vessel. If it's a vessel that is helping our people first mentally, psychologically, then physically, by reconstructing the history that is being told constantly, generation after generation. When you completely throw out the African spiritual system and not dealing with anything dealing with black scholars who've done the journey, went to Africa, done pilgrimage, they've done expeditions and found fossils dealing with African people of the darker race, understand this. Yes, there were many Caucasians in the beginning who announced the greatness, the marvel of the black man and the black woman. These people was executed because the masses of the white supremacists that were in power did not want this information out, because if the information is out, it will not show their power. It will show that they are nothing but a common copy of the original man. You are walking into an illusion.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Now I'm going to show you another Neely Fuller, but you're going to see now the animated cartoon. But pay attention to the words. White supremacy made us into creatures. Pay attention. I'm going to drop it like it's hot. I'm going to drop it like it's hot.
To me, like, how can you continue a battle that nothing, that you had nothing to do with? And, like you said, when my buddy Josh's grandparents, it happened to them. But like I said, to my best knowledge, it never happened to us. We grew up in the same place. We hung around the exact same people. We weren't treated any different than the white kids. And I just have a hard time with it now when I go home and see him, that now all of a sudden he's I don't even have a word, but
He's what? What is it he's doing? He's saying something about racism?
yeah, and he's been, it's been in his family for years, and so now he's got an attitude even against some of the guys we hung out with when we were little, and he just brings it up, and it's, like I said, until we were 17, 18 years old, it never happened to us, but he's making it sound like he's got to take over a fight that maybe his grandparents, had a long time ago.
Okay, well, let's look at your associate, Josh. Could it be that what he's saying, he's not making it up, and he's not talking about the past? Could it be possible that he's talking about something he's looking at right now, and that what he is saying is that he sees it, but that you don't? Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Well, see, that could be the case. Now, it could be, like you said, that he's making it up, but I don't think he's making it up, because I see it too. And I've always seen it. I've never been in a situation where I didn't see it. Now, if I was looking for it and it wasn't there, then that's something different. And I've heard people say that, saying, well, I'm looking at the same thing that you're looking at, but I don't see what you see. And I say, yes, I know. That's the treachery of the way racism works. And sometimes you could be looking at it, and I have this in the book that I wrote. In racial matters, many look, but few see. See what? See what they're looking at. You're looking at it, but you don't see it. Like an optical illusion.
But if you're constantly looking for it, then, I mean, that's like they say.
No, but you can only see it if it's there. Otherwise, you are making it up, in which case nobody should do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you're telling me just a second ago that you look for it. Well, if you're looking to see if something is racist, you're constantly, you got blinders on. You're looking for it, and you'll take any little, section of conflict or whatever and say, oh, that's racism. That's not because of, his bad attendance. That's racism. Because that's what you're looking for is what it sounds like.
But see, the thing that I claim, that when I do look for it, I see it. Because it is there. But it's not supposed to be there. That's the key. It's not supposed to be there.
But you're looking.
No matter how hard I look, I'm not supposed to ever find it. Because it's not supposed to be there. Racism should not exist. That's the whole point. Just like cancer should not exist. See, now I can look past cancer. I can not recognize it deliberately, or I can recognize it deliberately, but I make up my mind that I'd rather not think about it. So therefore, if I don't think about it, I'm not feeling the pain directly at that moment, because I'm laughing about something. Like a cancer patient has laughed, but the cancer patient still has cancer. See what I mean? So racism is the same way. Black people laugh all the time. They're the laughingest people in the world, collectively. Nobody laughs like black people. In fact, there's more jokes made about laughing black people than anything else. Even in the old days, when it was right in your face, this thing called racism. Black people laugh more then than they do now. Black people were the biggest jokesters because they were trying to hide the pain. That's why. But over a period of years, they laughed less and less as the pain began to go away because they were laughing at the pain. They were trying to laugh off the pain. And now, a lot of us try to put on the blinders to not see what is causing a world problem. Now, a person can look at President Obama and say, he doesn't really have a problem, like President Obama said himself, said, I'm trying to get health care for the people that don't have it. See, I have health care. Me and my whole family. I will never have to worry about health care. I will get top of the line health care. I already know that. He said, I'm trying to get it for the people that don't have it. He said, so if you're talking about me individually, he said, yes, I got health care. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not supposed to be concerned about other people not having it. See what I mean? So racism is the same way. There are some people who say, well, I've been able to skirt it, and I've been able to get by, and I've been able to do this. In the neighborhood that I was brought up in, I was able to shield myself from it. But see, the fact that you shield yourself from it means that it's there. And it shouldn't be there for you to shield yourself from it. I mean, that's the whole purpose, because when you try to move away, just like in the case of your friend Josh, when you try to reconnect with him, he's been hit by it, full force, and his behavior shows it, and that saddens you, but that's a fact. And the reason it's a fact is because he ran into it when he just moved just a little bit, and it hit him full force. Really, it had him full force all the time. And that's when it's really painful.
So are you saying that you have never been mistreated because you're not white?
Not that I know of. I mean, I've had friends with, many people, and, I mean, granted, there's always some bonehead, but that, that whether he's black or white, it doesn't matter to me. I've come across, boneheads, but I find myself finding more of my own quote brothers that would do me wrong more so than the white guys that I hang out with.
And I can see why that would be, because that's the effect that racism has. The very fact that when you interact with black people, they are hostile toward you, or they mistreat you, and they you don't get the kind of reaction that you should get from people when those people are black. And there's a reason for that. They've been affected by racism to the extent that nobody would want to be around them. And that makes sense, because the system of racism itself produces black people that nobody wants to be around, including other black people. That is the effect of racism itself. That's not just something that happened because black people have this peculiarity about them that makes them into monsters and monstrosities. No, that's a system that does that. So black people, by the nature of being under the system of white supremacy, are made into creatures that nobody wants to be around, including the black people themselves. They don't want to be around each other and can hardly stand themselves. But since you got to be with yourself, there's nowhere else to go. I mean, if you are you, you're you. So what can you do? And so therefore you turn that outwardly, because there's nowhere else but to turn it inwardly, in which case you would be suicidal all the time, which is what black people really are. But we just don't go that extra step. Black people are very suicidal because black people cannot stand themselves. They can't stand other black people, and they can't stand themselves. Because when they look at other black people, they see themselves. And they can't stand what they see. Because we have already been made into creatures that are unworthy of being around anything. But the system did that. We weren't born like that. We were all born as little wide-eyed, curious children. But we were turned into monsters and monstrosities. I myself am a monstrosity. The very fact that I'm having this conversation in 2009 proves that I'm a monstrosity. What's a monstrosity? A monstrosity is a creature that is out of sync, out of balance. A person who is in the midst of a whole bunch of problems that can't be solved, or apparently aren't being solved. That's a monstrosity. I'm one.
Unfortunately, me too. As long as the system of white supremacy exists, because you can.
Now, brothers and sisters, gods and goddesses, you can watch your celebrities, you can watch your president. I'm telling you, what you think you know, you don't know. There's always a hidden agenda. And so many of you do not understand white supremacy. So many of you don't understand how so many black folks are caught up in the agenda dealing with white folks. And what you think you know, it ain't so. And every time you see a celebrity talking to the president, you lose your mind. You get all upset, like if they're helping you. Like if you're going to get a piece of the action, like you're going to get something. You ain't getting nothing. But let me show you what a lot of our black people be doing in the open field. Let me show you. Pay attention to this. You see that coon, Negro? That coon is allowing that white woman to put a rope around her neck. And they like, oh, we all having fun. Ha 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 ha. You don't find this serious? You don't find that serious? You got a lot of black people doing that. So they could be part of the white woman system. Huh? Pay attention now.
You're traveling to another
Coding.
dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound,
Millions
but
of them.
mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
What? What? Don't get me started with that shit. Huh? Think about it. Think about it. Huh? Let me show you something else right quick. Let me show you something else right quick. Huh? Explain the photo. Y'all have a lot of saying about Kanye West. Let's hear what you got to say about the photo with Jay-Z and the child. Look who Jay-Z with. Huh? Pay attention. Let's stop playing games. Let's stop playing games. Pedophiles. Huh? You in an illusion. I told you the answer. In God we trust. In God we trust. Huh? In God we trust. Huh? But none of y'all have come up to answer why this brother is talking about Larry Hoover. You ain't even thinking about that. Because that's important. He slipped that in there. Huh? You ain't thinking. You don't want to know the truth. Stop being ignorant. Huh? He asked him to pardon Larry Hoover because he know who Larry Hoover is. I got one for you. The meek shall inherit nothing but more chains. The meek shall inherit nothing but more chains around your neck, around your mind. That's what you're getting. Because you don't want to know the truth. You still in an illusion. Stop playing games. Stop playing games. Huh? I got another one for you. Check this out. Go into Japanese neighborhoods. You don't see Negro stores. Go into Chinatown. You don't see Negro stores. Go into Jewtown. You don't see Negro stores. But come up here in Blacktown and every kind of store is here but your own. But your own. Huh? Malcolm X made the statement. You still an illusion. You in the fucking Twilight Zone. Let's keep it 100. You ain't keeping it real. Huh? Nah. You don't want to know the truth. You're still stuck. Huh? Dear black folks, we are at war with too many people to be at war with each other. Let me say it again. Dear black folks, we at war with too many people to be at war with each other.
Traveling to another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Now I'm going to give you, this towards the ending of class, I'm going to give you the house Negro and the field Negro so you can get a better understanding to what the fuck you looking at. So you could be able to identify these Negroes. Because the new Negro is nothing but a white man just with a black face. His skin is black. Now, I know you don't like that, but that's realism. That Negro will try to destroy you because in his mind, you're not intelligent like him. You're not playing that game like him. That's why some of these Negroes don't like Kanye West when he be acting the way he be acting. Oh yeah, I just threw some at you. In God we trust. See, all this is entwined with one another. But let me give you a little taste. This is by Nelly Fuller, Animated Series. Pay attention.
There was two kinds of slaves. There was the house Negro and the field Negro. The house Negro, they lived in the house with master. They dressed pretty good. They ate good because they ate his food, but he left. They lived in the attic or the basement, but still they lived near their master. And they loved their master more than the master loved himself. They would give their life to save their master's house quicker than the master would. The house Negro, if the master said, we got a good house here, the house Negro said, yeah, we got a good house here. Whenever the master said we, he said we. That's how you can tell a house Negro. If the master's house caught on fire, the house Negro would fight harder to put the blaze out than the master would. If the master got sick, the house Negro would say, what's the matter, boss? We sick. We sick. He identified himself with his master more than his master identified with himself. And if you came to the house Negro and said, let's run away, let's escape, let's separate, that house Negro would look at you and say, man, you crazy. What you mean separate? Where is there a better house than this? Where can I wear better clothes than this? Where can I eat better food than this? That was that house Negro. In those days, he was called a house nigger. And that's what we call him today because we still got some house niggers running around here. This modern house Negro loves his master. He wants to live near him. He'll pay 3 times as much as the house is worth just to live near his master. And then brag about, I'm the only Negro out here. I'm the only one on my job. I'm the only one in this school. You're nothing but a house Negro. And if someone come to you right now and say, let's separate, you say the same thing that the house Negro said on the plantation. What you mean separate? From America? This good white man? When you gonna get a better job than you get here? I mean, this is what you say. I ain't left nothing in Africa. That's what you say. Why, you left your mind in Africa. On that same plantation, there was the field Negro. The field Negro, those were the masses. There was always more Negroes in the field than there was Negroes in the house. The Negro in the field caught hell. He ate leftovers. In the house, they ate high up on the hall. The Negro in the field didn't get nothing but what was left of the insides of the hall. They call them chitlins nowadays. In those days, they call them what they were, guts. That's what you were, a gut eater. And some of you all still gut eaters. The field Negro was beaten from morning till night. He lived in a shack, in a hut. He wore cast-off clothes. He hated his master. I say he hated his master. He was intelligent. That house Negro loved his master. But that field Negro, remember, they were in the majority. And they hated his master. When the house caught on fire, he didn't try and put it out. That field Negro prayed for a wind, for a breeze. When the master got sick, the field Negro prayed that he died. If someone come to the field Negro and said, let's separate, let's run, he didn't say, where are we going? He said, any place is better than here. You got field Negroes in America today. I'm a field Negro.
Brothers and sisters, gods and goddesses, kings and queens. Class is over. The only reason why you're in an illusion is because you want to be there. I gave you different scenarios to show you why you are still in the twilight zone. Because you want to be there. You don't want to come out. You think you need certain things. But I'm going to help you before I close out. Money. Money is the reason why some of these celebrities should be able to talk to other people. But let me ask you this question. Does the celebrity come back to the neighborhood they once was in? And do they have an intellectual conversation with the higher ups in the neighborhood or people who is seem what to be in charge, or they can be able to have a dialogue with certain people in the community to be able to fix the problems or make some kind of institution, some kind of program, or many different programs. Also, have black ownership, black owners to come in our neighborhoods and be able to sell their products and be able to be successful. Why in the world we have every other culture in our neighborhoods selling their products and we're constantly giving our funds to these different cultures except our own? What fucking illusion are you in? Think about it.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Stop following nonsense. Stop following nonsense. Stop following nonsense. There's always a hidden agenda. Remember that. It's always a hidden agenda. Too many blacks are in the Twilight Zone.